I really like the variety because there's a lot of different parts of our region, and particularly in disaster space, I like that we're there for the community in kind of some of their worst times. We're able to assist. My role basically oversees and works with other emergency service agencies in town to assist the community in preparedness and then response and recovery following disaster events. I really enjoy working and living in Gladstone. We have great facilities here. People are really friendly. Council's a really good organisation to work for. Everyone's really committed to the community. I mean, we're all residents. We want to see what's best for the community happening. I do quite a few sports in town, so use a lot of our sporting facilities, as well as involved in the community theatre space, so getting to use the GECC, which we're really lucky to have. I do the community musicals, so we've done, I've been involved in Anything Goes, Legally Blonde, Carrie, and then also do foster caring through GPAWS, which is one of the animal rescue groups. Emma Catlin, Disaster Response Specialist for Gladstone Regional Council.
For Tuesday the 4th of March 2025. The first item on the agenda is apologies, and we have all councillors present, so no apologies this morning. The next item on the agenda is messages of condolence. Councillors, do we have any messages of condolence? No messages of condolence. The next item on the agenda is prior notifications of conflicts of interest, and I'd like to declare a declarable conflict of interest in item G 2.1. Sorry, no, that's the minutes. Sorry. The National General Assembly, which is G 4.3, the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly motions and attendance. Just in regards to the attendance, as I'm President of the Australian Local Government Association, I'd like councillors to determine whether I should stay in the room and vote on that. I believe I don't have a conflict. I believe I can act in the best interests of the community, and but other people might see a conflict, which is why I'm declaring a declarable conflict. Tanya, is that correct?
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you. I'll leave it to councillors to ask questions or determine. Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I think that you don't have a conflict. I think that the reason you put yourself up for that position is to advocate for our community and for and on behalf of councils across Australia, and I'm sure that you will continue to do that, so I'm happy to move that you stay in the room.
Happy to second.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Councillor Churchill, any other questions, councillors? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Motion is carried. I'll remain in the room. Thank you. Any other conflicts of interest, councillors? No further conflicts of interest. The next item on the agenda is the Mayor's statement on current issues, and I'd like to congratulate the team at the Discovery Coast Tourism and Commerce and all the volunteers organising the Agnes Blues, Roots and Rock Festival, which was another resounding success, and thank you to the Deputy Mayor for being there to open the event on the Friday night, and for councillors for attending across the weekend as well. Another successful event, and as I said, congratulations to all our volunteers. Well, it is Parks Week. Parks Week is well underway in the Gladstone region, and we have had a number of events happening already, but including coming up, we have the Moonlight Movies in Miriamvale. screening of Rio and Alf Larson Park on Friday the 7th of March at 7 p.m. We have pickleball in the park, that's one for you, Councillor Goodluck, in Anzac Park in Gladstone on Saturday the 8th of March from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. There's Mums on the Move, Millennium Esplanade and Tenham Sands on Saturday the 8th of March at 9 a.m. and yoga in the park at the SC Rescue in 1770 on Sunday the 9th of March. And I'd also like to acknowledge and thank our parks program delivery crews for the work they do in managing and maintaining our extensive network of parks and recreational areas across the Gladstone region. They do an amazing job. And just a couple more items I'd like to mention. Of course, our community forums are continuing, and the next community forum is in Gladstone on Thursday the 13th of March at the Central Queensland University. And make sure you get your tickets to the community musical Mamma Mia, which is happening from the 6th of March to the 16th of March, and there are still some tickets available. So jump onto the GECC website and make sure you get your tickets on for that community musical. And before we move on to the minutes of the next agenda item, we will have more to say about this just before we close the meeting. But of course, it is Councillor Goodluck's final council meeting today, and we say thank you, Khan, and we will have something to say just before we close the meeting on that. The next item on the agenda, councillors, is G2.1, the confirmation of the minutes for the 18th of February 2025. Can I get a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Davis. Second to Councillor Patrick. All in favour? The motion is carried. We have no deputations this morning, councillors, so we'll move straight into our officers' reports. And the first officers' report is G4.1, review of fire safety policy and electrical safety policy. I'll hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes. Welcome, Mark.
Morning, Mayor. Morning, councillors. This item is for you to consider the repeal of two policies, our fire safety policy and our electrical safety policy. This has come to a conclusion through work that we've done as part of our comprehensive policy review schedule that we're working through at the moment. What we have found during the review of these two policies is that these policies essentially have been already outworked and are essentially the content of which is contained within our workplace health and safety management plans. So we've essentially got that surety for the business and the community from within those plans. So we believe and recommend to you that it is safe to repeal those policies.
Thank you. Questions to the General Manager, please. Fairly straightforward, yeah? How about a mover for the officer's recommendation then? Thank you, Councillor Holzheimer. Seconded, Councillor McClintock. No further questions? I'll put the motion. All in favour, and that's carried. Thank you, Mark. One more for you. G4.2, policies relating to streetlights.
Similarly, as part of the policy review schedule, we're working through with respect to our street lighting policy. So previously we've had two, and currently you have two policies with respect to both rural residential policies and essentially solar street lighting policies. The contents of which are now contained within our Capricorn Municipal Design Guidelines, and essentially that guides the development of infrastructure and essentially the installation of those lights across the region. So those policies aim to guide that in the absence of that previously, but now we've actually got that guidance through those documents.
Seems so long ago that we adopted that. It would be 10 years ago, the
Yep.
solar policy, solar light policy. But anyway, there you go. Councillor McClintock, your question?
Yeah, I'd probably a couple, but more just generically. Obviously, we've got a few being repealed here. How are we going with that 15% target? Is that something that we're on track for?
We're very much on track to reach that target by the 30th of June.
Yep. Excellent. And just a more personal clarification on a lot of these laws were in place when these policies were created. So what were we trying to achieve by putting them in place? Was it redundant already? It just seems like we're...
There was probably a belief that we needed to give that guidance specific to our own region.
Yep.
And probably where there wasn't necessarily the same cohesion at a probably whole regional level. And by regional, I mean, that whole CQ type area. So now that now exists, and we've essentially harmonised those standards across. So yes, the base standards for in terms of electrical infrastructure was in place, but certainly there was some specific outcomes that were aimed to be achieved through just trying to promote solar street lighting, and on what areas we would allow that, given there was concerns around the continuity of those and the like.
And you're confident you've fulfilled all of those now?
Yep.
Great. Love that. I'd like to move it.
Oh, okay. I've got a couple lining up for questions, but
More questions? Go for it.
can I do that, Councillor Churchill? And then good luck.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm quite happy to second it. It's a basic question. We adopted this Capricorn municipal, whatever you call it, development guidelines, be it 10 or 12 years ago. And each time there's a change within those guidelines, obviously there's a roll-on effect with the policy. Why can't we just insert the guidelines as part of our policy and allow it to happen by attrition?
I guess the Capricorn Municipal Development Guidelines are a collaborative effort between a number of councils in the region. So as we are adding things into that, we need to deal with the policy position. So we see it as a duplication, I guess, to have a policy referring to the design guidelines when the design guidelines do their
So the
thing.
design guidelines determine our policy.
Not necessarily. These are really technical standards that are
Okay.
going in there. So the only things that go into that are technical standards. As part of this review, we're really reflecting on why we have policies and why we need them. So that's really, through that process, is taking out all of these technical standards and keeping our policies as true policy positions.
No, that's fair enough. Thank you.
I remember we had a policy once about no smoking in the workplace, and you might remember that debate. And we, of course, got rid of that policy because it's government legislation. So, okay. Councillor Goodluck, questions?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Mark. I'm happy to support the recommendation there. I think it is duplication. I was just curious around light shields in particular with our street lighting. I know there's been a number of issues and residents that I've dealt with over the years. Would this move to repeal the policy and just go straight to the guidelines, would that enable us to better outwork those particular issues, or would it be more difficult, or not sure?
The guidelines do reflect the contents of the policy, so I guess it's making it more streamlined for our customers in being able to refer to just one source as opposed to multiple sources.
Okay. That'll do me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? No? Move Councillor McClintock, seconded Councillor Churchill for the officer's recommendation. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, and thank you, Mark. G4.3, 2025 Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly motions and attendance, and I'll hand over to the General Manager of People and Strategy, Carly Quinn, and welcome Kim Markson to the table as well.
Thank you, and welcome back from maternity leave to Kim Markson into her role of strategy and improvement. Thank you. This morning we're here to talk about the National General Assembly, which is held once a year by the Australian Local Government Association, and it's a great opportunity for councils all around the country to advocate for matters of importance to all local government across Australia. So today the paper presents to you the opportunity to decide which two councillors, or alternatively more if you choose, would attend the conference, as well as the two proposed motions. So I'll just give you a quick highlight of the two proposed motions. Our strategic approach this year with the motions was to actually have less motions and just be really clear and have only one, maybe two, and to have motions that are not repeat of ones that we've seen at conference before, and ones that we really truly believe are significant right across the country, giving us the best opportunity to get them across the line and actually make a real difference at a federal level. So the first motion there is around the Australian Government's introduction of the Climate Change Bill in 2022. It legislates that the nation's commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 43% below the 2005 levels by 2030 and net zero by 2050. Modernising electrical infrastructure is a national issue because the transition to renewable energy and emissions reduction targets set by the Australian Government requires coordinated action at all levels of government, including local councils. However, outdated electrical infrastructure is a widespread barrier preventing local governments from integrating renewable energy technologies, limiting their ability to contribute effectively to national climate goals. So our proposed motion is that the National General Assembly calls on the Australian Government to create create dedicated funding programs, either full or 80/20, to support local governments to upgrade critical infrastructure to ensure compatibility with renewable energy and carbon neutral technologies, so renewable energy and emission reduction targets can be achieved. The motion calls on the federal government to provide funding for two things: comprehensive condition assessments and upgrade recommendations to modernise electrical infrastructure, and the delivery of essential upgrades to power grids, substations, transformers, distribution networks, streetlights and switchboards. That's our first motion. The second motion is around circular economy, and the disposal of batteries and residual waste streams, as we all know, is a really clear issue that local governments are facing all over Australia. There are many, many fires that councils are experiencing, as well as industry providers, and it's becoming an increasingly unacceptable risk for local government, waste services and infrastructure, as well as our workers and community safety. There's an urgent need for legislative and regulatory mechanisms, extended producer responsibilities, and a review of the product design standards. The Australian Government is called to act now while propelling forward a circular economy for loose and embedded battery products. Our motion is that the National General Assembly urgently calls on the Australian Government to address the risk of battery disposal by, number one, implementing appropriate battery product stewardship legislation that includes extended producer responsibilities. Two, moving to a mandatory national product stewardship scheme to ensure all producers and importers of loose and embedded batteries are captured and contribute to the end-of-life mitigations and disposal and recovery costs. And three, support local government efforts through funding, so to manage and mitigate battery-related risks to waste services and infrastructure. And finally, I just want to acknowledge the state governments of New South Wales, Victoria and Queensland, and their recent announcements are very encouraging in this space, but federal leadership is still needed now to endorse our national policies and ensure that we have a safe, sustainable approach to the battery life cycle management. Any questions?
Questions, councillors? Just a word that needs to change, where it says, and I know it might be urgent, but the motion will get changed at the committee, so you might as well change it now. All motions have to start with the exact same wording. This General Assembly calls on the Australian government to address. You got the first one right, the second one just had a little. I can understand you're urgent.
We're a bit passionate.
Yeah, are a bit. But I'm either going to cut it out now or at a later date, so might as well do it now.
That's a good call, thank you.
No questions, councillors? All right, then we do need the other part of the agenda is who we will be sending. Obviously, I'll already be attending. And we'll need at least two councillors to attend to move and second the motions. Councillor McClintock, then Councillor Davis.
I think probably just on the whole thing, I got an opportunity to attend this last year, and it was really, really good. Not only, like, obviously the motions are a really important part of what we do from an advocacy point of view, but the content was actually really rewarding and really helpful. So I think it's definitely a valuable place to attend, and I do think sending a couple of councillors down there will reap great rewards for us. I do note that one of our motions is around waste in particular, and I think that Councillor Holsheimer would be a great attendant down there, and yeah, I'm happy to send anyone else too. But yeah, great, worth going to. Nominate.
Okay, so can I get a Councillor Davis, and I'll come back to you while you think of a second person or someone else puts their hand up.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to nominate Councillor Patrick and Councillor Holsheimer to attend if they're happy to do so.
Thank you. I think someone was trying to do that, but he...
Just trying to check my balls.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
no, that's fine. I accept that
You happy to
nomination.
go?
Yeah,
And
I look
Councillor
forward to
Holsheimer?
it.
Anybody else would like to attend? No? Okay, move by Councillor... Yeah, it's always cold. Yeah, I have a jacket that lives in Canberra. It just stays there. There's no point bringing it back here. I'm never going to wear it in Gladstone.
The first time I went to Canberra for one of these conferences, it was like that Cool Runnings movie. Airport door open. I didn't have thermals. I was totally unprepared.
Yeah.
The second time I had thermals. It is cold.
Okay, moved by Councillor Davis, Councillor Patrick and Holsheimer attend the National General Assembly. A seconder, Councillor McClintock. No further comments or questions. I put the motion that the whole recommendation, including the motions, be accepted. All in favour? And that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Carly, and thank you, Kim. Okay, councillor reports. Do we have councillor reports? Councillor Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've just got a couple of reports. The first one is our experience down at the community forum that occurred on Saturday at Lowmead. On behalf of Councillor Melissa Holzheimer and myself, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to all those residents who attended the recent community forum at Lowmead. We had really engaging and respectful discussions with community members from various areas of the southern region, which was great to see, and we really appreciate the valuable feedback we received. Their insights are instrumental in helping us work towards better outcomes for our community, and we will continue to advocate for improvements where possible for them. As you highlighted in your opening statement, we do have the Gladstone community forum happening, and that will be at CQU on the 13th of March from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's my first report. And my second report is last week, along with some of my fellow councillors, I had the privilege of attending the AICD Company Directors course. For me, it was truly a positive and enriching learning experience that has significantly broadened my understanding of corporate governance, leadership, and the essential responsibilities of a director. The course provided valuable practical insights into establishing effective governance frameworks, managing financial oversight, and the importance of strategic leadership and risk management. Additionally, the emphasis on ethical decision-making particularly was impactful for me, resonating deeply as a councillor. I have continued to build on my skill set as a councillor, knowing that I was a newly elected councillor, and I now feel even more confident and capable in making thoughtful strategic decisions that prioritise the best interests of our community. This experience has further enhanced my ability to contribute to local government with a focus on transparency, accountability, and creating a lasting impact. It has not only strengthened my leadership skills, but has also deepened my commitment to serving our community with integrity, thoughtfulness, and a renewed dedication to continuous growth and development. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Patrick. Councillor Holzheimer.
Just to extend on Councillor Patrick's first point for the community forums, also acknowledging the effort in the background of our staff, our management team that attend as well, because we wouldn't be able to show up in community like we can without the support of GRC staff as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Goodluck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Given it's my last meeting, I've prepared a speech. I practiced it last night. It's only 47 minutes. So, no, it's not. But I'd like to paint a picture. It's the year 2051. Due to indecisive and ineffective policy certainty around energy over the last 3 decades, power prices have surged. Rio Tinto have just announced they're closing their Gladstone operations due to being uncompetitive in the global market demand for cleaner, greener products. In a region with approximately 21,000 employees, approximately 8,000 jobs are forecast to be lost over the coming months. The cascading impact of further industry closures is unknown, but every day there are more announcements for closing small businesses. The property market has collapsed as people look to sell their homes and leave and seek opportunities elsewhere. Many are trapped owing mortgages much more than their homes are now worth, a fate former generations of Gladstonites remember well. There is palpable anger in the community as crime rates soar, businesses close, people lose their jobs, and the community look for leadership in a time of despair. The local council is dealing with drastic budget restraints as a high percentage of people are unable to pay their rates. Drastic measures have been taken to cut services, leaving the region in spiralling decline. The Gladstone region, a once powerful industrial warhorse of the Australian economy, has failed to adapt to the changing global economic demands and now joins a list of numerous other localities across the ages that dream of better times now lost. This is not the vision I have for our future, but it is a possible reality. The decisions we make today will determine whether this hypothetical becomes a sad reality for our people. While politicians at high levels of government will play politics and political point score, the burden of truth, facts, and fearless conversations will fall to you who sit around this table. As the level of government closest to the people and most trusted, you are the gatekeepers of our community's future. It will fall to you to have the keenest interest and the greatest understanding of what is necessary for the Gladstone region's success, to have the toughest conversations with those who make decisions that impact us, and also those who call our region home. And be fearless in your advocacy for the right decisions to be made of state and federal governments. In a time where there is no shortage of leaders who choose to drive division, greed, selfishness, you can choose to be a leader that inspires compassion, empathy, and a positive vision for our future. You can choose to be a leader that listens to facts, proven science and economics, and be fearless in your approach. There are so many leaders who take the path of popularism today. This is not fearless or courageous. It is just more of the same, and no one will remember their names. Great leaders do not bow to public opinion. Great leaders forge public opinion. They do this by articulating a positive vision of a future that people want to be a part of, by inspiring people to care for one another, and by storytelling that resonates with the hearts and minds of those in our community. And this will be your task, and I want you to know that I believe in you. I was elected at 27 years of age, a Boilermaker with a fiery passion for representing ordinary working people and a keen but a little bizarre interest in public policy. In 2016, I just scraped into the last position as the 8th elected councillor. A little known fact, but I set myself one goal, and that was to be Deputy Mayor at the next election. Knowing the only thing I could do to influence that outcome was to be the hardest working councillor for 4 years and hope that our community would reward my efforts at the ballot box. I set about working hard. It was a great honour to have topped the poll in 2020 and serve as Deputy Mayor. And I haven't checked the electoral history books, but I suspect I may have been the first person to go from the lowest polling position to the highest polling position in one single election cycle. Perhaps I'll be the last, or perhaps there might be more in the future. Councillor McClintock. 12 months later, my children's mother and I decided to amicably separate. And I will never forget the day we sat and explained that to our young children. The anger and sadness in my kids' eyes, my eldest daughter begging me not to go, promising me, "I'll promise I'll be good, Daddy," and telling me that I could sleep in her bed. The words, "Please don't go, Daddy," as she locked her arms around me tighter than I've ever felt before, those words will forever haunt me. And I was not equipped with the words to explain to an 8-year-old that it was not her fault. And it was all I could do, just to hold her and tell her it will be all okay. And while I acknowledge the many nuances, complex nuances in the breakdown of a relationship, the irony was not lost on me that for all the glory and triumph in my hard work and success, I had paid a heavy price and sacrificed the very thing that I thought I was fighting for. But fast forward to today, and I have met the most amazing woman who I'm honoured to call my fiancée, Danielle, after a rather epic world-first proposal at an LGAQ conference here in Gladstone. A woman who fills my heart and soul with such love and joy, and I can't wait to start the rest of my life with her. The mother of my children, also happily engaged to a bloke who's a wonderful guy and great to my kids. And my kids now have 2 loving homes and a happy life. I am many things and have many flaws, but I'm determined with absolute resolve not to make the same mistakes of the past. I am blessed to have learnt many valuable lessons at an early stage in life, and I'm smart enough to take heed of them. I've been privileged to represent our community in many capacities, on the national news, national TV, on the floor of state and national conferences, in Senate and select committee hearings of the federal government, in the halls of Parliament, at local Anzac Day events and local community events all across our region. I can honestly say I have always aimed to seize every opportunity gifted to me to speak in front of a group of people to try and inspire just one person. Just one person, I always thought. If I can inspire just one person in this crowd, then I have made this moment in time worthwhile. And there is no doubt in my mind that there are moments I have failed in that endeavour. But I'd like to think there's at least a few where I succeeded, and I encourage you all to do the same. No one remembers boring politician speeches that are written by someone else and read word for word with no meaning or feeling. Aim to inspire just one person. I recall when I first ran for council, there was no shortage of people who told me I would never make it. One gentleman proclaimed, I remember, that I needed to work for at least 30 more years before I could run for council. The countless number of times I'd heard that I'd never run a business, so what would I know? The truth is, when I first came to this place in this role, I felt very much like an imposter, like I wasn't supposed to be here. I didn't care though, as you could probably tell. But as I reflect on my time over the last 9 years and think about my regrets and my legacy, I do have one big regret. The one regret I have is that I never truly learned who actually loved Hannah. And I owe them a beer because the amount of publicity I got out of that one thing, and I offered them a free meal too, and they never came to take it.
The truffle pig. Yeah.
But the truth is I have zero regrets. As for what I hope my legacy might be, it's not in projects I've supported or ribbons I've stood next to the mayor while he's cut. I have cut a few ribbons. I had to push him over, but I got there. But it's in the many people I've helped over 9 years, some with small, insignificant things in the grand scheme of things, but they were big things to them. It's in the amazing people I've met and conversed with and heard their stories. It's in the many people who've reached out to me over recent weeks to say thank you, to send a message, called my phone, and some who even embraced me in their arms with a hug on the street, which is very much appreciated. It's through those people I am entirely satiated with my time here in this place. It is in the hope that I've shown that you can be a young person with a passion, you can be a tradesman or a nurse or a teacher or a labourer or any other ordinary normal person, and you can represent our community with integrity, honour and competency. Because being a councillor and representing your community is not about business, it's not about degrees, it's not about experience, it's not about how much money you have or how long you've lived in a place you've chosen to call your home. It's about people. It's about relating to people, listening to people, bringing people on a journey, fighting for people and empathising with people. It's all about people. And if I can, you can. I'd like to thank all of my friends and family who've supported me over the years, my mum and dad and my brothers, my sister, all of the people who've taken the time out of their day to help me on polling booths and sign waving and door knocking. For many of my family, that was a first-time experience, one that they did not enjoy. So thank you to all of you who helped me many, many times. The people who backed me in rooms I wasn't in to back myself. I want to say thank you to all my colleagues, past and present. All of you played a part in shaping me into the man I am today. In particular, I want to say thank you to Matt. You have been a great boss. Not perfect, but pretty good. But you supported me from day one to be my own leader, to pursue my ideas and dreams, and more importantly than any of that, a great mate. So thank you. I also want to thank Shelley, who I don't think's here at the moment, but there are few people who have done more for me in my time here than you have, Shelley, so thank you very much. I want to thank my beautiful fiancée who supported me for the last 3 years, who's tolerated the mind-numbing abuse on social media and the endless conversations with strangers on the street and at community events and in the shops. I love you. I want to thank my kids for being patient and so well behaved at all the late night meetings and weekend events and with all the babysitting. And I want to thank Kate, the mother of my children, who also supported me for many years and is an amazing mum to our kids. And I'd like to thank every staff member of the Gladstone Regional Council, all of you, whether I've worked with you closely or whether we've only bumped into each other every now and then. Keep doing great things and ignore the haters. You guys deserve to be proud of the work you do every single day and know that there are so many people out there who appreciate you. And finally, Mr Mayor, a quote that I read, and I've had it on my Facebook page since the first day I started in this place. In the words of Mayor Angelo, people will forget what you said, they will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Goodluck. Any further councillor reports? I would like to say something before we play a little video. You came in here as a councillor who, you're right, barely scraped in. I remember watching the votes. A councillor who thought he knew it all, to the deputy mayor and a councillor who always had my back, who always put the best interests of the community at heart every single time, and always was on open discussion to answer the questions I was too busy to. Thank you, Khan. You did, I know you said it's not about the infrastructure and the ribbons and all the rest of it, but in your time you have supported millions of dollars worth of investment in our community. Projects like Lions Park in Gladstone, which was inspirational at the time and still is a great place for families to go, and many other projects, including the Boyntonham Aquatic Recreation Centre, which we have a photo for you, we'll give you later, of the vacant block of land, and then one day you'll be able to look back on that and see the facility that is going to be there for our community because you pushed it so hard to make sure it happened. And it will happen because of your advocacy. I also remember when you welcomed me into the harbour when I crossed the finish line for the 75th Brisbane Gladstone yacht race. It was pretty special because as the mayor, that's something I take very seriously. That race is so important to our history and our community, and I wanted you to see firsthand, to be there to welcome the yachts as they come in, because it wasn't, you obviously welcomed a lot more before me because we weren't first. But it's such an important event, and I was really great, I can tell you, after spending 2 days on a yacht, to see the carton of beer and the acting mayor at the time, or the deputy mayor at the time, welcome into the harbour was very special. I'll certainly, along with many of the councils in Queensland and in Australia for that matter, we'll miss your debates on the floor of conference, whether it's the National General Assembly or the Local Government Association of Queensland Annual Conference. There's only one time you lost a debate on motion floor, and that was when you tried to debate me, which will always go down in history of LGAQ as the only time a mayor and a deputy mayor of the same council voted against each other. I'll end on you talked about, when you first started, about the transition our community is going through. And realistically, like yourself and Councillor Muscat really led that way. Councillor Trevor, if he's watching online, won't mind me saying we're big fans of the coal industry, and we still are. But you, through the way you articulate and the way you put it just before, make us realise that as much as Chris and I have been in this community all our lives and for many generations, if we want to see our community to grow and develop and expand and everything else, we have aspirations for it, we need to be part of this transition roadmap, transition journey, which is what we've done. We've signed up, and councils around the nation are looking at us as leading this way. And we will continue to transition. It will happen, so that the likes of the Rio Tintos of the world will be able to get green energy and produce green aluminium and green alumina, and Cement Australia will be able to do the same, and Orica will be able to do the same, and industries like Alpha HPA and Fortescue and Acciona and so many more will continue to invest in our community because of the foresight and the vision that yourself and the Deputy Mayor had at the time, which brought the rest of us along kicking and screaming. Councillor Churchill probably was a bit more on side as well. But we got there, and it was probably one of the best decisions we've ever made as a council. And I've been here 25 years, and I know you've been here for 9, but that still goes down to one of the smartest things we've done because we've set our community up for great things. You said you aim to inspire one person. Well, I'd say you've inspired many, many people, not just in this chamber, not just in Gladstone, but right around the country. I remember some of your debates on conference floor and National General Assembly. You're talking about inspiring mayors and councillors right across Australia on some of the things you've had to say, and won those debates, I might add. I think we'll wrap it up now, councillors, with the video. And I want to say thanks, mate. You've been a great mate to me too, and all the best.
West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, oh my memories gather round her. Modest lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrops in my eye. Country roads take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country roads, oh, take me home down country roads.
There's no urgent business, no notice of motion, no confidential items. I declare the meeting closed at 9:40 a.m. Thank you, Carmen.
you.